Welcome to School Leadership and Management A presentation for 2022 examinations. My name is Dr. Daniel Kwalipombangula, and I will be taking you through this presentation that will serve as a guidance to help you prepare for your 2022 SLA examinations. This presentation will cover all three examinations. Hence, by following this presentation, it will help you to know the contents and what to expect to focus on in the coming 2022 SLA examination. There are certain principles that you need to follow in order to make sure that you pass this course. The first one is that you must know the guide and all the self-mark activities in the guide, because those self-mark activities in the guide, they will help you to understand how the exam is set, how certain questions are answered, and in so doing, it will help you to get a clue on what to expect in examination. Furthermore, you need to also familiarize yourself with the grading procedures of this course to be able to pass it. For example, you need 50% marks in your CA to qualify for your examination, and you also need to obtain 50% in examination to pass the exam. There are also observations that we picked up in the previous examinations that most of you do when you are addressing the questions. These are like if the question comes saying critical discuss or describe or explain or outline. These questions, they are differ according to Bloom's taxonomies. If you are critically describing or discussing, that means you are going in details, giving pros and cons of that issues that you are addressing. But if you are explaining, you are just giving a direct illustration of what you are asked to. If you are outlining, you are just listing. You don't need to spend much time on such question. Because I realized that some of you, these questions, you are asked to critical discuss, but then you only give shallow information. At the end, you end up losing the marks on the things that you know. It's the same thing with it, describing. Describing, you also need to give at least a detailed explanation on the aspect that you are asked to. But then if you are just giving a shallow explanation, you may lose some marks because you only gave the fact, but you did not give a thoroughly description of what you are asked to. We are starting with Unit 1 on the issues that you need to look, that will help you to study your examination. The learning outcome I want you to focus on Unit 1 is you look at first strategies, the principle used to promote good teaching and learning at their schools. The strategies here, we mean the approaches the principal normally use to make sure that good teaching and learning is being promoted at their school. For example, if the principal is telling the teachers the clear missions of the school, that's what we mean by communicating. Telling them, okay, at this school, we want to achieve so and so in this particular period of time. And the goals and objective of the school. so that when teachers are teaching, they also know we, at the end of the semester or year, we must have achieved these goals and objectives, because we want to be a school of excellence for argument's sake. Another strategy the principal can use or approach is by making sure that you attract qualified teachers. You have to hire the qualified teachers who you can verify their teaching record from where they are coming from. If it's a new teacher who have never taught before, of course you have to use their academic record to see this person, when he or she was at university, he was a serious student. That's why he has a distinction, or he has some B's or C's. So we are expecting the delivery to be also good. So those are, and there are more. There are more strategies that you can look at. We only gave but a few. Another outcome that you must focus on is how to develop a school excellence by efficient management of physical resources, the instructional programs, parent involvement, and positive school climate. On this outcome or component, we want you to include the maintenance and improvement of school buildings, properties, and grounds. So the efficient management of physical resources, this is just how the principal or the school make sure that the infrastructure are maintained in such a way that they give a positive environment or positive reflection. So that's by maintaining school properties and the other things, etc. So those are the issues that I want you to focus on Unit 1. We continue to Unit 2. Unit 2, I want you to define organizational culture, school climate, and school culture. You must be able to define all those terms. School climate, school culture, organizational culture. All those are cultures, you must be able to define them. And I want you to also tell us how to change school culture. For example, holding open meetings with the school communities. The culture, those are etiquette that the school use to make sure that it functions well. So by so doing, you can hold meetings with the school community to discuss things that are affecting the school. It's also being argued that school leaders must move beyond the current pressure to place exclusive priority on curriculum and instruction, and instead focus on teaching or integrating and focusing on the fragmented subcultures that exist in any school. The school leaders, they must also make sure that they include everyone. You know, school is an organization, and there are different people from different cultural background. The school must, the principal or the leaders of the school, be it as principal or HODs or school board, they must be able to make sure that those people are integrated and they can work in harmony. That's what we mean by that, how to change school culture. In addition, you also need to focus to look at the next outcome, importance of positive school culture. Why is school culture, importance of positive school climate, pardon me, it's not a school culture, but school climate. The importance of positive school climate. Why is this very, very important? This includes a positive climate which exists when learners feel comfortable. The climate, in other words, how do learners, teachers, and all the stakeholders feel at home when they are at school? Are they wanted there? Are they valued? Are they respected? Are they accepted? Is the environment secure for them, safe for them? Are they able to interact within each other? Can they trust each other? There's no gossip, there's no bullying, etc., etc. Those are the things that you need to look at. Leadership and school climate. How is the school leadership and the school climate integrated? Is the principal a die-hard principal, or is more of an influential leader? Those are the things. Then we look at the dimensions of a school climate that promotes learning. The dimensions here, we are looking at categories, things that the school can use to promote learning. If the learners are not safe at school, learning will not take place. If teachers are not safe at school, teaching will not take place because they are afraid of their lives. Those are the things, those are the dimensions that we are referring to here. Then we look at Unit 3. Unit 3, I want you to pay attention on dysfunctional conflict. And this one, I just want you to know what it is. You need to know how to what is this dysfunctional conflict by defining it. And I want you to also furthermore focus on steps of problem solving, which include to describe the problem, describe what each person wants, acknowledge and explain how their desires are part of the joint problem without judging. The steps of problem solving here, we mean, how do you solve problems? In most cases, people fail to solve problems because they focus on the people instead of focusing on the problem. Describe the problem. Colleagues, we have a problem here. You are not teaching. You are going to class late. You are describing the problem. Describe what each person wants. Why are you going to class late? So then, when you do that, you are able to acknowledge and explain how their desires are part of the joint problems solving without judging them. So you describe the problem, you ask the person why, what is your really need. And you are not really focusing on the person to say, no, you are lazy, that's why you are going to class late. But there's no judgmental issues. Realize that the person you are in conflict does not think the same way that you do. Another step is that you can use to solve the problem is that when you are making a mistake, or when you are the cause of the problem, you may not see that I'm making a mistake. But me as a second person who's looking at you, I can tell you, no, there's a mistake there that needs to be corrected. In other words, we don't think the same way. Hence, you must know how to approach that person to help the person to understand that I'm making a mistake here. Then we look at the functional conflict. That's another topic I want you to focus on. Functional conflicts are constructive, support your company's goals, and improve performance, respect. In order to engage in functional conflict, the parties involved must respect each other or each other's opinion. So in other words, functional conflict, those are things that help you to work in a positive approach to achieve the school's goals or company's goals. but these companies here we refer to the schools. We are continuing with another component or topic that I want you also to pay attention to, which is types of conflict in school. Like I said before, school is an organization, and there are different conflicts that can arise there. Number one, intra-organizational conflict, conflict that occurs within an organization, and there are more. You also have inter-organizational conflict. This is intra, then you have inter-organizational conflict, etc., etc. So this conflict happens, some are happening within the organization, some are happening between organization and the community, some are happening between people within the organization. That's what we mean by different types of conflict that exist in schools. Then we also look at optimal conflict level. You must also know this concept and how it happened. And an optimal conflict level is the level where the conflict is characterized as functional. So then there's more to say on this. You describe more than what we mean by that. I just gave you an example just to guide you. We are moving to Unit 4. Unit 4 Unit 4, we are starting with the systematic steps to manage change. Systematic steps to manage change. That one include create agents for change to happen. It helps if the whole company really wants it. Then the next one is also to diagnose the problem. The first step involves diagnosis of the present situation. In other words, you must know the current problem to predict the future uncertainty. Another one is organizational reason for resistance to change. This we look at why do resistance occurs in the or within the organization. This can be because of poor communications. If you are the leader and you don't know how to communicate with your subordinate, there's a possibility of the subordinate to resort to resisting the change you want to bring in. Changes within an organization start with the key decision makers. You know, as a leader, you are the sole person who need to make a decision as to what the school needs or wants or what you intend to do. Now, in an event, if you make wrong decision which is not well communicated to the rest of the subordinate, be ready for that change to be resisted by your subordinate. Types of agents playing a role in school development. That's the next topic. There are different agents that are playing a role to make sure that there's development in school. For example, continuous critical inquiry and continuous improvement. Continuous critical inquiry, that means you make follow-up on certain aspects that you need to bring in the school to say, okay, we asked for the library. Maybe you're asking from the central government or from the Directorate of Education to say, we wanted this. How far are you? Continuous improvement. Maybe you build one classroom, then you are bring a second classroom. Those are the continuous improvement. Those are the agents that are playing role in school in development, because it's a continuous process. To add on, we look at nature and three-phase character of change in organization. Nature and three-phase character of change in organization include change is epidemic or endemic. Change is endemic in the education sector. In other words, change happens within the education sector. The pressure for change comes from all sides: teachers, learners, stakeholders, and everyone. Unfreeze represents the stage before the changes occurs. In other words, those things that were not happening, you activate them. You say, oh, I always wanted a free education. There it comes now. What do we do now that the free education is in full swing? Those are things that we are talking about here. Then we move to Unit 5. Organizational stress symptoms, which include ineffective working. During burnout, a person's energy turns into exhaustion or dispute and dissatisfaction within the group. The organizational stress is caused by when they say burnout, when people are very tired, when they are arguing, dispute, or when they are not satisfied within their groups. Then we look at individual stress symptoms. Individual stress symptoms, here we are looking at how do we look at an individual person and we can able to tell that, oh, this person has a problem, is stressed. That person is always complaining of headache. That person is always negative. That person is always having depressive feeling. It's just complaining every time. Then you know that person has stress. After that, we move on to the stressors within the school. What are the issues that are causing stress in the school? Maybe the issue of budget cut. Then you are no more able to incur the learning resources because there's a budget cut. And you cannot have classroom environment improved. Maybe the classroom conditions are dilapidated and there are no more funds to help to renovate it. Those are stressors. Misbehavior within the learners, or bullying, fighting, all those things are stressors in school. You as teachers, you know these things. You were at school and you know things that you normally cause problems. Stressors, in other words, those are things that are causing problems in schools. We move on. Conditions conducive to change. Conditions conducive to change include the first is the potential. For example, the first condition is the potential to change. Why do we need to change? Not everyone is capable of change. Some people are comfortable in their current situation. They don't want new things. Leadership. If there is a new principal coming in, maybe the previous principal was more of a people-centered. Then you bring this principal who's self-centered. Then you are likely to have a problem. But if you also bring in a principal who's a people's person, then you also have a conducive, you are creating the conducive environment. Leadership should be firm and purposefully with a perspective approach. In other words, the principal who's coming in must allow participatory approach from both sides, stakeholders and the educators and the customers who are the learners. Unit 6 is the next step we are taking. In Unit 6, we are looking at levels of management. Levels of management here, we are looking at what are the things that we do in management. We supervise, we manage, we control, etc., etc. So then we look at different between managers and leadership tasks in schools. The managers and leadership tasks in school include administrative. So school administrative responsibilities are management driven. The managers, they are in leadership, they are part of administrators of the school. Hence, whatever they do at the management level is part of that activities. Then we move to the next topic, which is values of Ubuntu for educational leaders. For your own understanding, Ubuntu means we are people because of others. Ubuntu is an ancient African worldview based on the primary value of intensive humanness, caring, sharing, respect, etc., etc. Innovation, finding new ways of solving problems. So, the value of that is that whatever you do, you must respect other human beings, humanness. You must be caring. You must be able to share ideas or resources, respect others, and finding new ways. That's where innovation comes in. How to deal with issues at the school level. Features of school as an organization. Why do we call school as an organization? To run a school, we need official sanction. You need to be appointed to be a school principal, to be a school board. You need to be appointed. You cannot just come then you say, okay, today I'm the school board chairperson. No, you cannot impose yourself. That's the essence of it. The principal must be appointed, and you must be scrutinized that are you really qualified to be a principal. Environmental scanning, which refers to activity of school that contribute to the broadening the scope of information. The school environment must also be assessed. That's what we mean by scanning. It must be assessed to say that, to see to it that any activities of education that can happen within this school environment is viable and can contribute to the scope of information that needed to be passed on to the different person. Furthermore, we move to Unit 7. The barrier to effective planning is the topic that I want you to focus on. The barrier to effective planning, those are the things that prevent you to plan effectively. These are fear. Fear can be a barrier to effective planning. If you are feared to do something, you cannot plan anything. Also, inability to plan or inadequate planning. If you are not able to plan to say, tomorrow I'm going to teach mathematics, these are resources I need. Or next year we need to improve our academic outcome so that we become maybe in top 10. If you are not able to do that, then your school will be always the last school. Unit 8, types and styles of problem solving. Types and styles of problem solving, these are analysis which include identification of the component of situation and the consideration of relationship among the parts. Furthermore, this include dominant feeling styles, etc., etc. So those are the different types and styles of how we solve the problems. You must be able to analyze and identify the component and the situation and the consideration of the relationship among the parties involved to make sure that you're able to solve that problem. And the dominant feeling style, how are the people feeling? How do you attend to that? To add on, steps involved in problem solving and decision making. What do we do to make sure that we are able to solve the problems and make decision? The first thing that you must do before you solve the problem and make decision is to define the problem. Define that this is the issue we have that need to be solved. The decision-making process begins when manager identifies the real problem. You cannot make decision based on assumption. You must make sure that you know what is causing the havoc in the school. Then you make decision based on the effect. We are moving to Unit 9. Unit 9, we look at the importance of effective organizing as a management task. Importance of effective organizing as a management task, it involves to help to achieve organizational goals. Organization is used to achieve the overall objective of business firms. Effective organizing is a management task which helps you to make sure that the goals set within organization are achieved. And you look at the overall objective of the school to make sure that you achieve that. And lastly, you must also be able to tell us how do you understand the term coordination. How do you coordinate? You know, coordinate when you make a link between people to work together, etc., etc. We move to Unit 10. Unit 10 has 1, 2, 3, 4 issues that I want you to pay attention to. The first one is different types of power of leaders. In the previous examinations and presentation, some of you mistakes types of power of leaders and types of leadership. These are two different things. I want you to set this straight forward. Types of power of leaders and different types of leaders, those are different things. Types of power here, we look at reward power, cohesive power, how you make people to do things. How you, when people do things, you have that power to motivate them. That's what we mean by reward power. In other words, as a leader, when you are dealing with your people, how you thank them when they achieve certain goal, you use that approach as a reward power. That's a power that you use, a sort of motivating them. When you see things are not moving, then you come in with a cohesive power. You reinforce things to be done. Those are types of power of leaders. And I repeat, don't mistake it with different types of leadership. Thank you. We move to motivation. You must also be able to define that term. How do you motivate? I mean, not how do you motivate, but rather, what do you mean by motivation? Abilities of effective education leaders. Some people also mistake ability of effective leaders with, you mistake it with different, what do you mistake this one with? Because I normally see people confusing this with another topic, which is, I think, is it why leaders fail? No. Okay, never mind. Let's just focus on this. Abilities of effective leaders, where we are looking at the quality. It's a sort of quality, but they say a sort of difference, because most of you mistake this ability with quality of effective leaders. Quality of effective leaders is different. Ability of effective leaders is different. Quality of effective leaders, that's when you say about clear communication, but that's not what we are talking here. Here we are talking about ability of effective education leader, which include sharing a vision of academic success for all students, one based on high standard. An effective leader must have ability to share the vision of academic success. The effective leader should know or have ability to know and understand what it means and what it takes to be a leader. You are not there to be a boss. You are there as a leader to show the way how things should be done. So please, I repeat, ability and quality, those are two different things. Next, motivation guideline for school leaders. What are the guidelines that school leaders must use to motivate their subordinate? You must harmonize and match the subordinate needs with organizational needs. You look at the set goals and objectives of organization, and you look at the needs of your people. Teachers are teaching well. Are they having accommodation in the school? Are they having toilets in the school? Are their salaries paid on time? That's how you harmonize those situations. And there are more guidelines. I only gave you one as a guide to help you to understand it. So, as you are reading this presentation, feel free to make sure that where things are not clear, you call the tutor so that I can still give you clarity. And as you are writing your first exam, second exam, then the last exam, you know if this were in April, maybe there's a possibility of one to come in August, but what you are using is still just the presentation, the same presentation. So it's up to you now to keep on looking. Okay, in April exam, I think this and this and this was there. Now the possibility of this and this and this to come in August is high. In the event if you fail April exam. If you pass, good luck. Thank you. That's all what I have for you, and good luck for your examination. And feel free to call if you have a issue which are not clear and you need clarity on those. And all the best. And make sure that you study your guide and understand it very well so that you know it in and out. Thank you.